Hello friends, today we will continue your second unit pharmacology of drugs acting on cardiovascular system. So after the study of the hypovolemic shock in the part 3, today we will study the part 4 of the chapter drugs used in the therapy of shock. Here we will discuss in detail about the second type of the shock, that is the cardiogenic shock. So let us start with the second type of the shock, that is the cardiogenic shock. So what is cardiogenic shock? Cardiogenic shock takes place when the heart has been damaged so much that it is unable to supply the enough blood to the organ of the body. In short, we can say it is a state of inadequate cardiac output despite of adequate intravascular volume resulting in hypoxia. This complication includes cold, mottled skin, tachypnea, hypotension, altered mental status, narrow pulse pressure, and rails and the murmur. Further, a large section of heart muscle that no longer moves well or does not move at all. Second, breaking open or the rupture of heart muscle due to the damage from the heart attack. The dangerous heart rhythm such as ventricular tachycardia, ventricular fibrillation or supraventricular tachycardia is also there. And another key point is pressure on the heart due to a buildup of fluid around it, pericardial tamponade. Then tear or rupture of the muscle or tendons that supports the heart wall, especially the mitral wall, or may tear or rupture of the wall septum between the left and right ventricle, that is the lower heart chambers. Sometimes very slow heart rhythm, bradycardia, or problem with electrical system of the heart block is there. So finally, cardiogenic shock occurs when the heart is unable to pump as much blood as the body needs to fulfill the biological oxygen demand. It can happen even if there hasn't been a heart attack. If one of these problems occurs and your heart function drops suddenly. In addition to that, cardiogenic shock is a condition in which your heart suddenly can't pump enough blood to meet your body's need. The condition is most often caused by the severe heart attack. But not everyone who has a heart attack as cardiogenic, though we have to consider some of the parameters also. So in short, we can say there is a decreased cardiac output and evidence of the tissue hypoxia in presence of inadequate vascular volume and cardiac heart failure. Clinically, we can say the CHF. And totally, what we can say, cardiogenic shock is a combination, maybe the combination of clinical CHF and in addition to that, 4 to 6 empirical criteria for the shock that already we discussed, like heart rate greater than 100, respiratory rate greater than 22, lactate greater than equal to 4, urine output less than 0.5 cc per kg per hour, and also the atrial hypotension more than the 20-minute or the more. Further, the important key point is there. Cardiogenic shock generally occurs when more than the 40% of myocardium is not working. And if we will see the hemodynamic criteria, the hypotension of the systolic blood pressure is less than 90 for more than the 30 minutes. And with this, the cardiac index is less than 2.2 liter per minute per meter square. So question arises, what is cardiac index? Cardiac index is a hemodynamic parameter that relates the cardiac output from left ventricle in 1 minute to body surface area, thus relating heart performance to the size of individual. The unit of measurement is liter per minute square meter. And the next is the PCWB is greater than 18 mm of Hg. Here the pulmonary capillary wedge pressure, that is PCWB, provides an indirect estimate of the left atrial pressure. Now focus on the epidemiology of the cardiogenic shock. The cardiogenic shock occurs in 5 to 10% of myocardial infarction patients, and the mortality rate is 50 to 80%. Generally, the mean time of onset is 6 hours post administration. So, early management is very important. Now, let us discuss about the cause of cardiogenic shock. The first cause is the acute cardiac infarction. The second cause is myocarditis, and the third cause is myocardial contusion. So, question arises, what is myocardial contusion? It is a bruise of the heart muscle which can occur with the serious body injury. This most commonly caused by car accident, by falling from the height greater than 20 feet, or maybe by receiving chest compression during the cardiopulmonary resuscitation, that is the CPR. Then aortic or mitral stenosis, acute aortic insufficiency, and let us discuss in the percentage: left ventricular failure up to 74%, acute mitral regurgitation 8%, that is the sudden disruption of the mitral valve due to acute pulmonary edema, and ventricular septal rupture up to the 4%, and isolated right ventricular failure up to 3%, and the last tamponade or the cardiac rupture 2%, and also we have to consider the other causes up to the 8%. Now let us focus on the risk factors of the cardiogenic shock. The first risk factor is adult age, diabetes mellitus, anterior myocardial infarction, previous MI or the peripheral vascular disease or cerebrovascular accident. Then the previous poor ejection fraction, or maybe that treated by AC inhibitors, angiotensin 2 blocker or beta blocker, or by the diuretics. Large infractions or the female sex. The females are more prone for the cardiogenic shock. Here the question arises, what is ejection fraction? That poor ejection fraction comes by the treatment of the ACE inhibitors, angiotensin 2 blocker or the beta blocker or by the diuretics. How it comes and what is that? The ejection fraction is equal to the amount of the blood pumped out divided by amount of the blood in the chamber. So this ratio of amount of the blood pumped out and the blood amount in the chamber is called as the ejection fraction. In short, it is described as the ejection fraction compares the amount of the blood in the heart to the amount of the blood pumped out. The fraction or percent helps describe how well the heart is pumping blood to the body is the main key point which we have to note over here. Now after the discussion of risk factor, just focus on the pathophysiology of cardiac shock or the cardiogenic shock. The first pathophysiology is even after ischemia, there is a loss of left ventricular function. Due to the cardiac output reduction, here the pathological state comes or it is responsible for lactic acidosis and hypoxia. Also, reduced stroke volume is there. So, due to all these things, there is a physiological compensation mechanism is there in our body which may develop the compensatory tachycardia and ischemia and infarction get worse. Now, let us discuss about the treatment of cardiogenic shock. Firstly, we are giving or we are using as a therapy, we may use aspirin, beta blocker, morphine, heparin. In all these therapeutic medications we can use depend on the condition of patient. If no pulmonary edema is there, we can give IV fluid. If in case there is the pulmonary edema, then we can use dopamine, which increases heart rate and thus cardiac work. Also, dobutamine may drop the blood pressure. So, if pulmonary edema is there, mostly combination therapy is most preferable therapy, and thrombolytics we are using to treat the cardiogenic shock, and the last is the intra-aortic balloon pump. The intra-aortic balloon pump helps the heart to pump more blood to cure from the cardiogenic shock. Then let us discuss the very important thing, that is the management of the cardiogenic shock. So how we can manage this? The main crucial thing is the intra-arterial blood pressure monitoring. So actually what happens, it is essential because of huge difference that can be found between cuff BP and the true blood pressure. So what happens, this monitoring allows the aggressive use of venodilation and the possible avoidance of the vasopressor, and also it allows the accurate titration of inotropes, vasodilators and vasopressors. So Intra-arterial blood pressure monitoring is the very crucial point that we have to manage because it gives us the information regarding the proper or the adequate use of the inotropes, vanodilators and vasopressors. We can rationalize the use of these class of the drugs. Another thing is the hypotensive condition. The cardiogenic shock versus true volume depletion cannot be determined clinically. It needs invasive monitoring of CVP, PAP, PCWP, where the low PAP or CVP is hypovolemic as already we discussed in the previous class. Next is the vasopressors. The vasopressors are good to increase the coronary perfusion, but what happens? They are bad because increased overload worsen the heart failure. Then another important thing is which we have to note, just do avoid the benzodiazepines, morphine, barbiturate, ketamine for the sedation. These class of the sedative and the hypnotic drug we have to avoid during the management of cardiogenic shock or the treatment. So what we have to do? So we can manage this by the choice of the drug fentanyl and etomidate for the sedation. Another thing is the management of cardiogenic shock through the fluids. Small bolus of 250 ml normal saline over 10 minutes. If not overcomes the situation, repeat. What situations? If respiratory status not deteriorating, should increase the BP if hypotension due to hypovolemia, and other managements for the cardiogenic shock are ETT and ventilation. ETT is what? Is an endotracheal tube, is a flexible plastic tube that is placed through the mouth into the trachea, that is the windpipe, to help a patient breathe. The endotracheal tube is then connected to ventilator which delivers oxygen to the lungs. The process of inserting the tube is called as endotracheal intubation. The next is left ventricular assistance device. It's a pump that we use for patients who have reached end-stage heart failure. We surgically implant the LVAD, a battery operated mechanical pump, which then help the left ventricle, that is main pumping chamber of heart, pump blood to the rest of the body. Then PCI, it also known as the coronary angioplasty, percutaneous coronary intervention, also known as coronary angioplasty, is a non-surgical procedure that improves blood flow to the heart. Then the CABG. What is this? Also known as the heart bypass surgery, coronary artery bypass grafting, is a procedure to improve poor blood flow to the heart. Then intra-aortic balloon pump that we discussed in the previous class, and the indications that we have to monitor. First is the cardiogenic shock not stabilized by the inotropes. The increases the coronary perfusion by 30%. And the contraindication is the aortic insufficiency or the severe PVD. Now come to the specification of drugs used in cardiogenic shock. The first one is dopamine. In a dose-dependent manner, the low dose 2 to 5 microgram per kg per minute shows the dopaminergic action, that is renal splenic vasodilation. Moderate 5 to 15 microgram per kg per minute shows beta adrenergic action, increase the contractility and the heart rate. At high dose, greater than 15 microgram per kg per minute shows the alpha adrenergic action, that is vasoconstriction, all vessels, and increases blood pressure, heart rate. Contractility may precipitate ischemia and may worsen the pulmonary edema. Now comes to its indications. The first indication is hypotension, systolic blood pressure 70 to 100 with sign of hypoperfusion. Here, failing fluid challenges 10 to 20 microgram per kg per minute. And the second one is the oliguria 2 to 5 microgram per kg per minute. Then, second choice of drug is dobutamine. Dobutamine is mainly a beta 1 agonist with some beta 2 and some alpha activity. Beta 1 activity is showing the positive inotrope and vasodilator effect. Dobutamine mainly lead to hypotension by the vasodilation. If cardiac output doesn't increase much, dobutamine is an excellent drug for normotensive, but caution should be taken with the borderline hypotension. So doesn't use alone in the hypotensives. The advantage of this drug is it is less tachycardia for given increase in the cardiac output than others. That means no due to no norepinephrine release from nerve ending. It is greatest inotropic effect with the least chronotropic effect and BP effects. The dose of dobutamine is 5 to 25 microgram per kg per minute, and we should start the dose from 2 microgram and increase to 20 microgram per kg per minute as per the condition and the requirement of the patient to manage the cardiogenic shock. Then the monitoring point is the indications. The first indication of this drug is hypotension. SBP is 70 to 100. The systolic blood pressure is 70 to 100 with no sign and symptom of hypoperfusion after fluid challenge. So the third choice of drug is norepinephrine. Norepinephrine is mostly alpha agonist with some beta activity. The norepinephrine drug is a choice for the volume repeated profound hypotensives, that is the systolic blood pressure less than 70, and this norepinephrine may be used to add with that of the dopaminergic doses 2 to 5 microgram per kg per minute to preserve the renal perfusion. Then the main thing is to be noted that the aim or the goal to use of this drug is temporary management until IAPP. So this one we already discussed, that is the intra-aortic balloon pump. For what purpose we are using, we already discussed. Then another goal to use this drug is in the PTCA surgery. So what is PTCA surgery? It is a percutaneous transluminal coronary angioplasty, is a minimally invasive procedure to open up blocked coronary arteries, allowing blood to circulate unobstructed to the heart muscle. And the dose of norepinephrine is 0.5 microgram per kg per minute. The indication of this drug is hypotension, systolic blood pressure less than 70, failing fluid challenges. In addition to these drugs, some other drugs are also used to manage the cardiogenic shock. The first one is the isoproterenol, which is a potent beta agonist. It's a isoprenaline or isoproterenol is a medication used for the treatment of bradycardia, that is the slow heart rate, sometimes heart block, and rarely for the asthma. It is a non-selective beta adrenoceptor agonist, that is the isopropelamine analog of epinephrine, that is the adrenaline. So can produce profound tachycardia. So it should be avoided in case of the profound tachycardia. The next is the digitalis. There's a little role in the acute heart failure and some role in the rare control with the atrial fibrillation and the flutter. The next drug is ambrinon and or milrinone. This drug is having the property to inhibit the phosphodiesterase 3, thus increases the CMP and acts as a vasodilator. The another important mechanism of this drug is showing the inotrope effect with minimal heart rate and the blood pressure changes. Another critical condition is the cardiogenic shock with that of the myocardial infarction. In this condition, 5 to 10% of myocardial infarctions are there, or in 5 to 10% of myocardial infarctions, there is the chances of cardiogenic shock, and the mortality rate in such condition is up to 70%. To treat this condition, the thrombolysis is unlikely to be effective because what happens? The low coronary perfusion pressure thus doesn't deliver to the site of thrombosis, and the option for the management is another thing is there. Thrombolysis is the option, and the another option is percutaneous transluminal coronary angioplasty and the coronary artery bypass grafting. So till that, have a nice day. We will continue part 5 of the same topic. Thank you.